are not making coffee, we're okay. Unless you want a real, unless you want a real coffee.
No, this works. This works.
Hi. So let me just shut everything down.
Absolutely. Are you based here?
Yeah, stand by. Yeah. Just like turn everything off. So, how are you?
Yeah. Busy.
Sleepy little Addis got kind of put on the map, huh?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And the fact that there was that many Canadians on an internal African flight is crazy. I guess one of the things to be grateful for wasn't next week, because then that's when school holidays are on, and would have been even more, probably.
Well, hard to say, but I mean, whether it's 1 or 50, what's the difference, right? I mean, we're looking at, so I'm not sure what you know or what you can tell. I mean, I'm sitting there trying to do my own kind of investigation to figure out what's happened, right? Mm-hmm. And they're pretty tight-lipped about it, of course.
Sure.
And I mean, the last thing I heard last night when I came in is that they're refusing the black boxes now. Is that true?
Refusing? I don't know. I saw a report that they're refusing to send them to the States, but they sent them to Europe instead.
Oh, okay. Because I had read that they had asked the Germans.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, what's that? Refusing to send it to the States, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know that the crash from 2010, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what the general perception is of what happened?
No.
Here, if you ask anybody here, the media has them brainwashed that it was a missile from Israel.
A missile from Israel.
It hit it. I mean, you're laughing now, right? And it's actually pretty pathetic because, the accident report clearly states that it was pilot error solely, right? Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So all right. Anyways, obviously, once all this is read out, then it becomes clear, right? Now it's just all speculation.
Yeah. So you're not getting any more information?
Well, the only thing I asked. See, the problem is the company they're fully aware of who I am and what I know and what I can do.
How long have you been with them for?
So, sorry?
How long have you been with them for?
July 17, 2017.
Okay.
Right? So I have written hundreds of reports, flight safety reports. You saw some of the stuff.
Similar to the ones you sent?
I've warned the insurance company, like way over a year ago. The insurance company reacted weekly to it, right? Yeah. And, I can go through how many times I warned them, right? Get in touch with me. I didn't, because you have to.
And they never follow up on any of them?
Just on the first thing they followed up, but but I never got any response to it. I can send it to you. Yeah. But they never really came back and were half-heartedly interested, right? And that is pretty pathetic.
And is it all similar?
But you've got to remember, everything is layered, so everything comes together. Yeah. Right? So if you're looking at it, it's like the arms of an octopus, right? Theoretically, all these things have to come together, be connected to function correctly, right? So when I do my reports and the comments I make about the way the operation is run and everything. So let's look at my history, right? I've worked for 16 airlines or charter companies. So, and I've been involved in this kind of accident stuff, SAFA. So, I'm pretty valuable to them, giving them free advice, because that's basically what it is. Every flight's a SAFA inspection.
Right.
And, sure, they react to some things, they try to improve things. I could play your recording from last week. Well, we're trying, I don't understand why, blah, blah, blah. So the internal mechanism cogs in this company sometimes just jam, and things aren't done.
Okay.
And I think it's also because of interdepartmental costs, right? So, and you have individual managers trying to look good, so they really try to cut corners, and they do things that are just downright illegal.
Right.
So now, from what I heard about the aircraft itself, 1,200 hours, it had nothing leaving. There was nothing, maybe a light wasn't working on the wingtip,
Sure.
I don't know.
But it's all part of a bigger picture, right?
And, this MCAS system on the entire fleet, there's not been, from what I've been told, from private conversations with engineers, as opposed to going straight to the offices, nothing. Angle of attack sensors, which is part of this system that supposedly caused the Indonesian issue, Nothing on any of the aircraft ever since they've had them. So if it is in fact that issue, then it's the first time on their fleets, because you have to look at the two as being different, right? The MAX is different than the
regular.
737, 700, and 800, just because of some of the systems, the engines, and things like that. But, so I'm at the teetering point now where I would just be a whistleblower. I just throw everything into the internet, because if people read it, and if some experts actually reviewed everything, this company would be blacklisted. You know, you'd have to have the government say, issue travel warnings. Right? And I've actually been trying to do that for over a year. You know, playing with, because I can't tell them I go to the insurance company. So at the time when the insurance company actually did contact the company, there was the expat pilots, which I wasn't a part of, put in this letter. So there's a letter out there, I never saw it, about complaining about safety and everything. So that letter was out there about a year and a plus ago, right? Okay. So that letter came out, and I had sort of simultaneously contacted the insurance company, and the insurance company then wrote to the management. So I was covered, right? And but last Tuesday, for example, I was called into the office because of one report I wrote. Terminated. I can play you the conversation. It's just terminated because of you know, accusing the director of flight operations that he's a liar, which I said that's a perception, right? I just stated the facts, you know. For the position I'm in, if I'm not given the facts, I can't operate properly, right? And I'm too professional not, you know. And I just said, I could show you the email. I said, you know, if you don't respect me as a professional, then don't send me. You've got to, you know, basically they've got enough people who break and bend the rules, but don't put me in that situation. Right? And well, if you're calling me a liar, then I'm going to do your termination papers, right? Yeah, and it went on for like 60 minutes.
Wow. Yeah. And then they just back down.
Well, because, you know, I basically state the facts. I said, right? Jesus, you have to appreciate what I do for you, right? Right? I'm your best asset here, right? Right? The fact is that I throw it in your face. And what I was doing is I was purposely escalating the wording in my emails. You know, I was using words like "you're insane," right? This is not Star Alliance. This is the worst airline I've ever worked for. I'll send you every report I have, right? So I thought, you know, how far can I push them before they actually, you know, react? You know, as the captain, I ultimately can stop the aircraft, right? And I've done it. I've refused, and I said 3 options: change in this case tires, change the tire, change the aircraft, or change me. You have the 3 options. The clock is running, right? We have 1 hour before departure.
And those are the issues then they respond on those ones.
Yeah, and luckily, these line maintenance people and some of the management, they actually start to really understand and respect me. The problem is you still have the corporate culture that they have to fight. So ultimately, I'm the one that's putting the brakes on something. I'm the one that will take the heat for it, but I'm never basing it on emotions, right? I'm not saying, well, today's a Tuesday, so today this is not going. Yeah. I look at the aircraft maintenance manual, right? I look at the flight operations manual, and I say, look, it's clearly stated there. So what do you see that I don't see?
And are others doing that in the organization as well?
Well, there's not.
There's quite a few expats.
Yeah, well, there's about 196, maybe plus or minus. Based on the conversation from last week, I am the most vocal, right? There's one other person that was referenced to, I don't know who he is, that equates to 75% of my, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so now the question is first, what's my intention? What is there a TSB inspector here? Transport Safety Board inspector?
NTSB? Yeah.
No, TSB,
TSB.
Canadian.
For Canadian, no, it's not.
So what would be nice would be is if I could get connected with them.
Okay.
And what would also be nice, because now I'm walking a fine line.
Do you want to take some notes?
Yeah, whatever you want. I mean, I'm only telling you the direction I'd like this to go, right?
That's what I want to get from you is what exactly you
So listen,
you'd like to do, and if we can help or if we can.
Well, yeah.
Because we obviously, I mean, I'm not obviously an investigator, inspector. I have no jurisdiction in this country.
No, but you have connections. You have connections that I don't have, right?
Sure.
Okay, so here's the way I think it should be approached. I think I have some very valuable knowledge, right? When I write reports, it's all backed up with pictures, so there's no question, right? And the reason why I back everything up with pictures is because I know they alter documents. So I've always wanted to make sure that whatever I saw was you can't Photoshop it, right? And that later on, if something happens, that I could say, that's not the document. This is the one that I have, this is the one I saw, this is the one I signed, right? Because
So I saw that in the messaging you sent, that there's changes between the two documents.
So now basically, after we have this meeting, what would be fantastic is if you say, if you leave here and you say, this is quite interesting, we have, whether I'm a Canadian or a Martian, it doesn't matter. You know, as far as I'm concerned, I think that had there been reactions to everything that I was writing, including to the insurance company and everything, I think that there would have been a lower risk of this issue coming up on Sunday, right? Right? And you can't bring back the dead. But we do have to maybe penalize the people that have been maybe directly or indirectly responsible for it, right? So that could go into training, that goes into management. So that's where an investigation needs to have information. You can't investigate something without facts.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of facts.
Yeah. So what about the NTSB team that's on the ground here? Have you had any connection with them?
Well, I can't even fight. I don't even. If I knew what hotel they were at, I'd go and knock on their doors, right? So that's why if you know them, so in other words, when you leave here, you're representing the Canadian government, right? So you now are listening to a pilot that has some knowledge, that is consider himself an aviation professional, pretty knowledgeable about this and things. And then it would be great if the NTBS said, this would be interesting, we'd like to see this individual, right? Because if I go out and throw it out, I'm getting myself into a different situation with the company when it gets exposed. So, for example, I'm fully aware that if it gets exposed, I'll be terminated. Right? So, I'm in my head. If, for example, if they were to refuse the black boxes being sent to anybody, I would quit because I can't work like that. And I would create a website. And I would publish every report I have, right? And I tell you, if the world read that, it would be pretty dramatic, the reactions, right? So now I think what we should try to focus on is that the NTSB says, okay, hey, let's talk to this guy. Let's have a look at what he has. I could give them a whole data dump. It would take them a week to read all my reports, right? But those reports create a picture of what's inside the company. From my perspective, on this 737 fleet, which is actually the fleet that has the problem with the crash, right?
Okay.
You know what I mean? I mean, even if Richard Quest of CNN called me and put me on TV as an aviation consultant, I could put things out there. They could slap things up on the TV. The people would look at it and go, "You got to be kidding me!" Right? How can the image be this way and behind the scenes be that way?
Okay.
Like, you know, so nobody could say it's a little too late because I mean, listen, I really put myself on the line emailing the insurance company and everything, right? If they said, hey, Bernkai Von Hausen is emailing us about your operation, I could tell you what would happen to me, right?
And they never did that.
Well, I told them, listen, I didn't tell them, I said, I wrote, don't expose me, right? So when I send you the email, they said that, we have this employee, maybe he's disgruntled, or former, they said there's, maybe disgruntled, this, that, whatever, right? And then they presented the problem regarding, for example, flight time limitations and some dispatching issues, and they never came back to me what the response was. But I never saw an improvement. Right? So one of the typical stances in the company is you can send, it just gets absorbed. Right? On the 13th of December, I warned them about something like this accident. And I actually painted the picture exactly what happened, except at night. Right? I didn't use the MAX aircraft, but I was using the MAX aircraft in my example because of the differences between the older aircraft, the 800s and the MAX. Ignore it. And they blocked me from sending it to all pilots and everything, so. Yeah. So how many families are here right now?
How many families?
Because the normal protocol is that they would fly it. Whoever wanted to come over, they would fly them over.
Yeah, so that offer has been made, but to this point, there's not a lot of families on the ground. We expect more to trickle in over the next little while.
And obviously, from a human remains perspective,
That's where most of the questions are.
right? I think maybe let's move over there. It's just a little bit too much noise. Do you need more coffee? Do you want a real one? Yeah, this is better. So from that perspective, I mean, obviously, sure, for the families, there was the whole families that wiped out, right? So obviously, from a closure point of view, and from my experience and knowledge of those kind of impacts, there's really nothing about it.
No, we were at this site yesterday, and it's pretty clear how that plane came down.
Right, and you're talking about a deceleration rate that's just created thousands of G's, right? So the bodies just get pulverized.
Absolutely, yeah. And on top of that, full fuel tanks and.
Well, they weren't full.
Well,
I figure about 12,000 liters of fuel was on it.
Okay.
Right, so that's a nice fire.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, and then you throw in other flammables like the wiring and baggage and seats and whatever else. Right.
Yeah. I mean, unless they removed a lot of the material from the site, what they have piled up is nothing there at all.
So I mean, for me, from let's say because I have dual citizenship, Canadian, German, and it really doesn't make any difference where I'm from. I really think there's underlying issues with the airline that definitely have to be exposed. I think,
and this is not typical of other. I mean, you said you worked for 16 other.
It's the worst airline I've worked for, in my opinion. The most safety violation. Listen, when you read this, you'll be going, it's like I'm making it up. Right? That's why I had to take pictures because somebody would go, there's no way. It's impossible, right? Right? So ultimately, so now we're coming into what's the cause of the accident. The flight data recorder, the voice recorder is analyzed and everything, but I'm pinning it on 75% crew error is my personal opinion.
Is that right?
I think maybe even before they took off, they had an issue, and then they went airborne, and then they started to fight. Right? And you're saying you saw the impact zone. I've seen pictures of it, and I really don't think the aircraft went down. So as vertical as people think, I think it just sort of came down in a maybe minus 10-degree pitch or something like that, because they were. When you're looking at the speeds and everything, this is just crazy what was going on there. Right? And I know what the company will do. The company will always try to shift it somewhere. So look at what's happened now. You have all Max's ground. Right? That is like a global phenomenon that's never happened before, right? And so now they'll sit there and politically try to manipulate this, right? So they'll go there and they'll say, okay, you know what? Right now everybody thinks it's MCAS, which is that system on that Boeing, right? So now they're like, okay, if you want us to, so for me it's like a North Korean plan. If you want us to release the black boxes, this is what you have to start doing for us. Like if they refuse to get those black boxes analyzed and I was the government, I would say, okay, you know what? Trade stops, aid stops, everything, right? So you want to sort of hold us hostage? Right? This is what we'll do to you.
Yeah. I mean, there's certainly the risk here that the issue with if there is an issue with the 737 MAX, it gets focus is put on that as opposed to if there is a long history of maintenance and issues at the airline and safety issues at the airline that gets sidelined while they focus only on what could be a more fleet-wise problem with the plane.
Well, it's the whole model of the airline. Listen, if you read my emails, so many times I've said, it's an accident waiting to happen. If I haven't mentioned it, at least 15 times.
Is that right? Okay, let me take this stuff back. I appreciate meeting with you.
Yeah.
We do have, so we don't have RCMP officers at the mission here, but we have, obviously have some coming in, so I might reach out to you again if that's okay.
Well, I'm leaving on the 18th.
That's fine, that's fine. I mean, they're going to be here for a while. So.
And then I'm going to be gone only for 7 days.
Okay.
All right. There's a website, an aviation website that I'm communicating with, and maybe it's in preparation of publishing something, but I don't want to do anything until I don't want to make a decision that hurts something else, right?
Sure.
Because we know that the internet really has a lot of power, right? But the problem is if you abuse the internet, it goes in the wrong direction. So in this case, I can say, look, they never trained it. I warned them. They should have. They had the simulator. If this is the case, right? It would be good if you could tell me fairly quickly, and if you did want me to get involved with handing out the reports, even to you in a confidential way, then I would really like to see just a request formally.
Sure.
Like a letter, sign it off, and then just hand it over or whatever, and then I can just give you everything.
Sure.
Right? Because then it just protects me a little bit, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And if you have anybody at the NTSB, you can relate that to them, and if they want to get in touch with me, you got the email, you got the, right?
Absolutely.
Because otherwise, I'd go and find them. Even if you just told me where they are, I'll go find them.
Yeah.
If I knew what hotel they're in, I'll go and wait for them.
Yeah. Give me a day or two.
Yeah.
There's not any on the ground right now from TSB.
No, but even if it's the NTSB.
Sure.
Do you interact with them at all?
Well, I interact with the U.S. Embassy.
Yeah. So, I'm not trying to tell you how you do your job, but what I would do is I would reach out. You can recap a little bit what we've talked about, right? Whatever concerns that you sent to the company hundreds of times in reports. The insurance companies were advised, right? The underwriters, and this person has dozens, hundreds of reports that you could submit that show about the way the operation was done, and with pictures and everything, and let them see what they want to do. Sure. Right? Yeah. I mean, I can't force them, but the only thing we can do is we can say, we have it, and it's like fishing, right? Either they bite or they don't. But me, personally, I think they would be fooled if they didn't.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, they're here, they're looking at it now, so they should be looking
at it. And they're going to see. Because look, when they go into the company, they're going to see what the company, because the company is caught off guard, right? So on Sunday, this accident happened. I can just imagine there was like just a frantic 24/7 now, sanitizing of what's going on in the operation.
Yeah.
So that when those people show up in the office or whatever, things have now been corrected or whited out or whatever, right? Okay. So now, what's exactly your position in this?
So at the embassy, I'm the head of security, and also.
But for the staff.
But for the staff, what do you mean? In what way?
Well, you're head of security, so security building, the staff, anybody who's in the country.
No, so primarily the security, the building, that sort of stuff. But then I have the larger role of emergency management. So.
All right. So you're in the emergency management. Okay,
yeah,
right.
Exactly. So I lead that. So we've got the whole team up and going right
now. How many are you?
In our team or the embassy?
In the team, the embassy?
The embassy, we're 22 Canadians at the embassy. So
then you have support staff that are local, probably.
Yeah.
Clerical.
Yeah, clerical, but some officers as well. So.
Oh, all right, okay.
Yeah. So it's not a big embassy, but.
Well, I guess it's all relative to what it's doing here, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's mostly development focused.
Sure. And now you have this thing coming up for at least a month. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So those would be my suggestions. Now you have to see how you want to run with it.
Absolutely. Yep. We'll make some phone calls.
Yeah. Because, like I said, it's a lot of data. Okay. Because even if I one file is usually one report's like a 4 to 10 gigabytes. Or megabytes, because of the pictures.
Photos,
right?
Yeah. Video, I saw you had video once in a while.
Yeah. But listen here, I'll just show you. If you look here, right, everything here, these are all reports.
So would it have been pretty much on every flight you took?
Yeah. Here, a complaint against rostering about how they're just forcing people to, break the rules. This one here,
Were you an inspector before?
something like that, yeah. So and then and then here, next serious issue. What's this now? Okay, that's something else. So, anyways, in here, there was on blocks. Okay. Oh, so here the daily check would have expired, right? A lot of maintenance issues, daily check issues, tire issues, flight time limitation issues, SAF insecurity, right? Issues. So here, it's very detailed, right? You know,
I mean,
I had one where I wrote them up, and I said 13 SAFA violations, of which 3 would have grounded the aircraft in one sector. Right? I'm like, how can you do that? And the problem is here, quite often you're pushed into the gray area. So now when you're going into the gray area, you have to sit there and manage the flight differently. You have to sit there and say, okay, who am I flying with? Right? And what can they handle?
Yeah.
Right? Because usually the gradient when you're flying captain first officer should be just a little bit like this. It's like this here.
Yeah, that's a whole society.
Right? So if you're looking at what these people were trying to manage that flight, and if that gradient all of a sudden went like this or into a V, and who's in the middle? Nobody. Right? So if this is weak and this is
Yeah. Okay. Appreciate the time.
Yep. And when I hear other things, I'll let you know.
Yeah, thank you, and I'll definitely be in contact. So.
Well, yeah. Let me know if you're gonna. Let me know one way or another. Just don't leave it hanging.
Absolutely.
Because it's just not the way I like to work. And then, like I said, you know where I am. I'll be doing night flights now until I leave on the 18th. So I'll be emails, like I said. So during the day, I just go to 5, 6 hours. So there's time during the day if somebody wants to do it. All right. Thanks again.
Thanks a lot, Kai.
Have a good day. Bye bye. That was the head of security for the Canadian Embassy.
Did he fix something? You mentioned this time. You told me yesterday there will come.
Oh no, he just.